February 2nd, 2013, the very first official live stream from some unknown sim race broadcasters labeling themselves GSRC. The subject matter, the Season 5 opener for some unknown private league called the MWT. The winner that day, an unknown youngster named Amjad Yaman. The champion that season, well, a legend to be, the Speedmaster Jan Koumans. This time last week, that upstart broadcasting company celebrated its 6th anniversary with Yaman now a company partner. As for Koumans, his record 3 championships looked unbreakable until Sonny Kanchan did just that, winning his 4th last season. Yes, the history is long, the talent is deep. Today, that series that kicked it all off heads into its 17th season. From Donington Park, it's the MX-5 World Tour, and where else can you see all the simulated monster racing live as it happens than right here on the Global Sim Racing channel. To quote the Staples Sisters, let's do it again! Hello and welcome to another GSRC broadcast and the Sim Sports News Countdown to Green. Johan van de Bell joining yours truly, Bill Soups on, to bring you our World's Eye View. The man who was lead commentator on that very first broadcast 6 years ago, Joe Peak, well, he's here with us today, but this time as director, armed with cameras, locked and loaded by Dougie Beer. Johan, this series has come to Donington 3 times previously, with no surprise, Sonny Kanchan winning all of them. Tell us a little bit about today's venue.
Yeah, well, you just tell me about all the history, and for the first race of the season, I don't think it's more than fitting that MWT visits the heart of British motorsport. Donington Park, it is drenched in British touring car history all the way since its inception in the 1930s. And this made the track the second purposely built race circuit in the UK after Brooklands. And after a hiatus that started with the outbreak of World War II, racing resumed here in 1977. And Donington Park is one of those tracks where you really notice the difference between slightly underpowered cars and quick cars that rely heavily on downforce. Because in the latter, you're lucky if you see a handful of overtakes, as the long sweeping infield section turn the field basically into a conveyor belt. However, in cars like the Mazda MX-5, all bets are off. More than once you see drivers fight well virtually the whole lap side by side, even in the twisty set of corners between Redgate and Coppice. But the best overtaking spots can still be found in the final 2 hairpins and going into Redgate, as the draft over Starkey Straight in the start-finish section allow drivers to get that extra bit of momentum they need to make a pass. But for this, you need a good lap, and to see how that looks like, let's hop on board the GSRC Mazda MX-5 for a lap around Donington.
Alright, we've got Amjad Yaman in the GSRC MX-5, so let's do a lap around Donington. Heading down the front stretch towards Redgate, you'll want to drift the car off to the left, but be careful because cars exiting the pits are dumped right into the racing line, and it is possible to get tangled up with them. You want a late apex this first corner, which will be a very popular place for guys trying to overtake. After that, hug the right side of the track as it swings down into the crater curves. That's because ideally you'll want to get the widest entry into the left-hander for the best line into the old hairpin. This is a corner that sometimes invites passes, but it tends to be very tricky to execute. Expect a lot of dirt to be dragged on course from cars drifting wide around here. As we go under Starkey's Bridge, we climb back uphill, and once again, swinging the car wide will help you line up the following corner. McLean's has a frustrating crest, and the turn gets tighter on exit. It's very tough to nail the apex. From there, it's a short burst to Coppice, which you'll see drivers think about making a pass into, but very few actually execute it. The totally blind apex makes this another turn that's difficult to be consistent with, and the long, wide-open exit means you'll be flat to the floor for quite a while, so the ability to get on the power early will be valuable. Now we're on Starkey Straight, which has these fun little dips in the track, leading straight into the braking for the S's. Anyone trying to pass here increases the risk of a cut course penalty, so it might be wiser to wait for the next couple of hairpins. That doesn't mean drivers won't still force 2 wide situations into that chicane. Now come the slow and annoying hairpins. First up is Melbourne, which is a pretty straightforward case of squaring off the exit and getting a decent launch. Drivers running a single monitor will have a pretty hard time getting the apex right though. Then, you'll switch sides and look for the curves to start lining up Goddards. There's an awkward rise at the entry to the corner, making it tough to get the car to turn in. Once you feel safe putting the power down, get on the gas, straighten the car out, and hope that you accelerated early enough to protect yourself from a pass. But as we cross the line, we've now finished a lap around Donington.
Joe Peak doing what nobody does better, take you a lap around a racetrack. This time it was Donington. All right, let me talk about last season a bit, and we're going to talk about the champions as qualifying just picks up. We'll take a look at Sonny Cantion if he wants to go out on the track right now. We can look at him. He picked up his 4th championship last season. They thought it was undoable, but he managed to get it done. Looking to go back-to-back again here, picking up his 5th. Now, some of the competition that was his biggest competition, not here today, and I'm talking about Robert Hartley maybe, but there is a driver, if we can find the Italian driver, that would be Marcelo Pajan. He finished well up in the points. He's going to be somebody to keep an eye on. Also, there's a guy that finished 5th. That's David Hampson out there in the car 888, which is a good number to have if you end up inverted. He finished 5th in the points. David now coming out making his first qualifying lap. There are a lot of drivers, but there's one driver I want to keep an eye on. It's a new driver. It's a rookie, car number 02. He hails out of Spain, and it's Jaime Damasi Torres. He has got a great iRating of 5,800 and was really fast in practice. So let's see if he has something for our multi-time champion. We're going to turn it over to Johan a little bit. He's going to talk about some of the drivers that participated in the AM Championship.
Yeah, I mean, if you talk about champions in the amateur championship, you talk about Kip Stevens. Unfortunately, he isn't here today, but he was the champion last season. However, here is the number 2 of last season, Jordi Fike. He is currently promoted to the pro class, and while looking at the practice times, he actually looks quite comfortably in that category. Several other drivers to keep an eye on. However, Derek Holland, he finished in the top 10 yesterday in the Advanced Mazda Cup. He was also one of the top 3 drivers last season in the MWT series. One of the, well, maybe favorites for the championship this time around. And also Steph Fainov, he returns for a sophomore season. Once again in the amateur category, another driver to keep your eye on once we get ready here for round 1 at Donington.
We'll be covering 2 championships, the pro and the amateurs. Both of them have sponsors. The pro championship's going to be sponsored this season by our good friends at Hoisingveld, and the amateur is going to be sponsored by Sim Sports News. All right, we're always picking up new viewers, but let's go ahead and recap, Johan, what the series details are all about.
Absolutely. Well, like you mentioned, this is the season opener, so perfect way to step in the MWT. Donington is round 1 of our 11-round championship. The venues will mirror the iRacing Advanced Mazda Cup series, and the season finale will be a doubleheader. There are no drop races for the drivers, so anything that happens on track matters. However, they get a little bit of help though with the benefit of free no-show compensations. That basically means that if a driver misses a race, he or she is compensated with a percentage of the driver's average race finish. Now, besides that, there's also an attendance bonus for missing no more than 3 events. So a lot of ways to help the driver basically keep them in competition for the championship. However, the race today is 25 laps, as you can see. Open setups, drivers have to make 1 pit stop because of slightly shrunken fuel cells, and there's no incident cap. But before you worry about drivers going off the track all willy-nilly, they do have to worry about the MPI rating. The MPI championship is awarded next to the finishing result, so scoring a low amount of incidents during the races will earn you a high position in that mile per incident championship. And the reward for that is quite a nice haul of bonus points at the end of the season.
Indeed it is. And it's something we will keep an eye on there as well. Let's go ahead and quickly look at the weather before we get to the qualifyings that are starting to come in. Johan, how's it feel out there today?
I mean, it's quite okay here at Donington, to be honest, Bill. It's a nice 17 degrees Celsius. You can see the temperature there converted into Fahrenheit, 23 degrees Celsius on track. At the same time, however, look at the wind. It's not very windy there, only 6 miles an hour, which basically converts to slightly over 10 kilometers an hour. So the drivers do not have to worry about a hard wind and settling their car in the middle of corners. You just have to keep an eye on that, well, kind of cool track temperature and see how they can use that to their benefit.
Johan, so often we race these little cars on oversized track where they become a draft. It's pretty much just a drafting race until the final lap. I like the layout here because it's a nice mix between the draft and the technical sections. But qualifying going to be important here. You don't want to be too far back. Marcelo Pajan on the pole right now. Christoph Sanchez sitting in second.
Yeah, very good lap from Christoph Sanchez, one of the new drivers there as well. He's only 1/10 slower than Marcelo Pagnan, even a little bit less than 1/10. So good first run out there from him. But like you say, Bill, you're absolutely correct. This track really mixes that draft section that you have, coming out of Coppice all the way to Redgate, basically long straights or reasonably long straights where you can draft and maybe see passes. But that whole infield section, it will be difficult there to go side by side. Not impossible. You've seen it before, and I'm pretty sure that you'll see it here today as well.
You talked about side by side. For me, it's a little bit of deja vu, as I had the pleasure of doing the Advanced Mazda Cup, and you talked about it in the race details, how this schedule is going to mirror what they're doing in the official iRacing series. So I called a race from here last time in these very cars. What I found interesting was the side-by-side racing through the Melbourne hairpin. A lot of times the pass doesn't get finished there, and it can go side-by-side even through Goddard's and then side-by-side to the start-finish line. This is a fun track to call a race at.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the difficult things in this track. Even if you think that you get by one of your opponents, you're actually not, because the draft is always there for them to catch up and basically try to swing it by you again in the next corner. So like you say, even if you get an overtaking maneuver done, it's not really over until you put 1.5 seconds between them and really break that draft so you can fly away from the rest.
Looking at the veteran Joe McDonald's currently down in 24th position. Always fun to watch Joe McDonald, Trip Spith, and Jeroen Ursum. They always seem to find themselves on the track. They won't be racing up front. They'll try to get themselves inside the top 20. They always put on a good show. Meanwhile, sitting at the top was the guy we talked about in the pre-race, the guy from Spain, Torres. My goodness, he found himself up in front of Pajan.
Yeah, extremely competent lap time from Jaime there. Only driver that's actually below the 144s at this point. Very quick from him. Marcelo Pagnan is sitting in P2. Gianni Quintilier is the third driver. Sonny Kenshin can only be found in P4. So a little bit further down the field Sonny Kenshin is than I would have expected him. Despite that, however, he's only 0.3 of a second behind Jaime, so not everything is lost. He's still pace-wise very close to the Spanish driver in front of him. And with 2.5 minutes to go, he will have 1 or 2 more attempts to really improve that and see if he can put himself on the front row.
Quintilier sitting there in third right now is one of the drivers that worked his way up through the AM class and now has found himself racing up there with the big boys in the pro. Even though it is open qualifying, they have limited laps here. I believe they only get 3 if memory serves me correctly. I have to check the rules on that one.
You're right. It's only 2 laps that they get. So
2 laps.
There was a little mistake from me. So Sonny Kenshin indeed was already done with that. 1:44.3 was his quickest lap time. Was in the second lap that he actually drove. Not quick enough for improvement there towards the front row. Robert Winiga we currently see on track. He is also another driver that already put in both his qualifying laps, but just still out there trying to get some extra fuel on this track. We of course mentioned the weather. The weather is still basically the same as it was, although the wind seems to be picking up a little bit. So all the track time that you can get now will just help you once the race gets going.
Good sized field, 24 drivers put in qualifying time, 26 names on the entry list as we look at Wheelenhall right there. Veteran of the series, happy to be back, expects to be able to put in close to a full-time campaign. Sitting 17th right now on the grid. You talked about the breakdown between the pro and AM drivers. Boy, this series really seems to do it really well. Pros always sit up front, amateurs at the bottom. You don't have anybody sneaking in there.
But there's 2 amateur drivers that I want to basically put some emphasis on. They're not on track anymore, so we cannot focus our camera on them. But Bjorn de Vos, he put in a blistering qualifying time, a 1:44.9. Even though he is an A driver, he's currently sitting at P8, well into the pro field. The same can be said for Daniel Jerez Juan. He put his car in front of Dries Knight, so he's also mixing it up with the pro drivers.
Let's go to the grid right now. On the front row, it is Jaime Torres. The newcomer is going to be inside of the Italian Marcelo Pajan. Gianni Quintilier in the third position. He's going to be flanked by 4-time veteran Sonny Kenshin. Christoph Sanchez and Nick Thiessen make up row 3. Anwar Burrell Smith and Bjorn de Vos. We just talked about him in 8th position. 9th and 10th, Jean-Frank Pignot and David Hampson.
On the inside of row 6, it's Nicolas Berger, and he starts just in front of Steven van Opstal. Jordi Fike, we mentioned him in the pre-race show. He was one of those drivers that did very well in the Amateur Championship last season. He starts on P13, and he's being flanked by Daniel Jerez Juan. In P15 it's Dries Nijs and he can be found next to Derek Holland. Row 9 is Robert Winga, next to him Maxime Dattili, and on row 10 the last two drivers in the top 20, Michael Wardman and Stef Veenhoff.
Hidden blackjack, it is the veteran Jeroen Ursum, Maurice Wirtz down there in the double duck position. John Miller and Joe McDonald make up 23rd and 24th, and then the last two drivers didn't put in qualifying times. Not sure if they're going to race or not, we'll have to see. Tripp Smith and Frans Janssen. 24 drivers put in qualifying times, again 26 entries. Driver to keep an eye on out there is a driver that I got to know in the Advanced Mazda Cup. He's in the number 14th position, racing car number 24, Daniel Juan. Very fast. I've seen him be very impressive in that Advanced Mazda Cup series. Good luck, everyone out there from the newcomer, Tilly, saying, let's get it going. 17 seasons we are starting today, 16 behind us, 11 scheduled for this series. The first one here at Donington, a great place to open up. The weather's good, the fans are ready. Johan and I am ready. Joe Peak has everything set up. Can't wait to get this started. The drivers agree as they start to harmonize their little MX-5s. You know what to do. Gather up the chickens, they cover behind the cows, because the horses are out of the barn for season 17, and it is Taurus out in front. Pajan in second, Quintelle being challenged by Sonny Ketchen. Ketchen already picking up one spot. As he dives it up on the inside, he'll get third. Rounding out your top five, it's Sanchez.
It's looking very clean throughout the whole field. Everyone's side by side going through Redgate, but no contact whatsoever, no spinners. Everyone's clean going towards the old hairpin.
Nick Thiessen able to get around Burrell Smith to take over sixth position. Smith in seventh. Pignot, Hampson, and DeForce round out your top 10. There's single file, little banging.
Little banging, but everyone's okay. Everything is okay. Daniel Jerez Juan in P14 is being put under pressure by Jordi Fike. That's a pro driver who wants to get by an amateur driver as soon as he can. Makes a little mistake going to McLean's there, a little bit wide. Jordi Fike cannot profit from that, and once again they have to go single file. Ooh, Björn de Force has a little bit of contact there. Yeah, he completely got bunched up, hitting David Hampson in the rear. That bunched up behind him, Nicolas Berger, who is being overtaken by Steven van Opstal. The outside going towards the chicane.
Clark Berger had to check up so he didn't get into the back of DeForce, and he loses the position to Van Opstal. There's a lot of love taps going on back there. Dries Nijs got into the back of Van Opstal a little earlier, but everything so far is going okay. All the cars still out on the track as they work their way now into the pair of hairpins.
Side by side, Nick Thiessen and Emerald Burrell Smith still side by side as they're going through the Melbourne hairpin. Coming up to Goddard's now is Burrell Smith around the outside still. Nick Thiessen defending the inside, and that inside is just such a nice line to have in that corner because you have so much less track to cover. He gets that P6 position away from him.
This one with a good run, now working on the back of Christoph Sanchez for fifth position. Meanwhile, as the front four start to distance themselves. Torres, Pajan, Kanchan, and Quintelle. Remember, Kanchan got around Quintelle early and is hanging on to the tail of Pajan. We ride looking off the tail of Sanchez.
Yeah, Sanchez cannot follow the speed at the moment that Quintelle is showing. I have to say, Quintelle mentioned after qualifying that he was very lucky in his qualifying to be so far up the grid. But as it stands in the race so far, Bill, he's quite easily staying with the top three of drivers, creating a top four battle with Christoph Sanchez being the cork on the bottom for the rest of the field.
I think that's where the action is. You can see the front four racing in line, not wanting to slow each other's down. That's not the case for fifth position. Nick Thiessen, I think he thinks he has the pace to run with the guys up front if he can get around Sanchez right now. They head out of Coppice now down into the chicane. It's a left-right chicane, 9 and 10, good passing zone. If you don't get it done here, then you can take a shot down into the Melbourne hairpin. Let's stay on these guys for a minute. Burrell Smith looking on. Pignot back there in eighth, also watching. Here comes the attempt, I think, from Thiessen. He's had a half car like that. He's going to force the issue. He moves over to the right. He just wants to do it under braking too early to make that attempt.
I don't know, because Sanchez outbraking himself completely. He got sold the dummy by Thiessen there. Way outbraking himself, but the wider line gives him more momentum out of the corner. So we had a spinner in the back there.
It was Daniel Juarez Juan had a spin. He was in 14th. He's going to go back into 24th position. Luckily, didn't collect anybody. Able to sneak by on the inside. Almost getting clipped in the trunk was Jordy Fike. Jordy doesn't know how close he came to be taken out of this race. Watch Jordy get by.
Wow. A miracle there that only one car in the end spun out. Luckily for everyone, they can continue. We go back live to that battle up front. It is still Damaris Torres up front, Marcelo Pagnan, Sonny Kenshin and Granny Quintier all fighting for the P4, but the heavy fighting is going on for P5. Nick Thiessen on the inside of McLean's. This time Christoph Sanchez doesn't have an answer right vehicle. He does have an answer still now because on the outside he has more momentum. It is behind him as well, Burrell Smith taking a little look. He is eating the popcorn because these two drivers are fighting quite heavily. They are losing connection to the top four very fast.
They are, Thiessen doing everything he can. He gets side by side, but the outside momentum from Sanchez is able to hold them up to the inside, going into the Melbourne hairpin. Let's see if he backs off or he forces the issue this time. He is going to do it, and this time I think he's going to be able to close the door. If he can keep it in a tight line, he does. And it's also going to cost a position, I think, maybe trying to come through, Johan, is Burrell Smith. Not going to happen.
Burrell Smith took a little look in the inside, and that move from Burrell Smith meant that Nick Thiessen got that position because Christoph Sanchez tried to basically do the up and under, tried to take a wider line, cut back to the inside, but suddenly Burrell Smith was there. That was the move averted for Christoph Sanchez, and he had to take his losses and know that that was a position loss for him. He's back to P6.
Gonna jump you up to second position now because I think Sonny Kenshin is saying, uh-oh, I got to get around Marcelo Pajan here. Now, they are Asbury Motorsports teammates, but I think Kenshin, even though he qualified slower, might think he's faster right now. They are losing touch to Torres, who's up by almost a second.
Yeah, quite a bit, and it seems like Marcelo is holding up Sonny Kenshin at this moment. He goes wide in the old hairpin over Starkey's bridge. He is holding up Sonny Kenshin completely now, because Sonny Kenshin has to back up a little bit to avoid the Italian in front of him. Like you're saying, Torres in front. Just streaking away. The gap between Torres and Pagnan is over a second. Again, Marcelo Pagnan goes wide. Second off track this lap for the Italian. That's not going to help his MPI championship this season.
I want to quickly jump you back to 10th position. This is our hard charger, Dries Knights, but right now he's in a battle with Van Ofstrel and also in the mix, Nicholas Berger. We saw these guys do a little of love kissing, a little love taps going on early in the race. Also back there, Jordy Fike working both sides of the track. Great races going on for these guys.
Nicholas Berger taking a little look at the inside there of Stefan van Opstel. Little touch, I think that was. He stays in front, loses a lot of time. Jordy Fike can get an opportunity now. Also in the mix, Björn de Vos, our leader in the M category, basically getting bunched up towards Robert Winninga, P2 in the amateur category. A lot of play to play for there. Is Jordy Fike on the inside of Nicholas Berger, who goes wide through the Melbourne hairpin. Jordy Fike gets a position. Björn de Vos immediately takes a look on the outside, trying to take a position. Going into Goddard, doesn't get it stick. And it is Nicholas Berger getting back to the apex, consolidating that position. He loses one place. He's back to P13.
Look at that train of cars, all the way from 12th position, Jordy Fike, all the way back. I'd go back to 18th back there with Wienhoff back. Great racing going on through the entire field. Remember, there are pit stops still in every driver's future. All this going on behind Jaume Torres, who's cooking with hot fish grease right now, opening up a 1.2 second lead on Sonny Kenshin. Kenshin was able to get around Pajan, so now let's see what Sonny can do. He can run down the span.
I think that Marcelo Pagnan is holding everyone up a little bit, because look at the gap between Kenshin and Pagnan there. That's growing quickly as well. Gini Quintier now really has to find a way by the Italian quickly. I think that Quintier actually has the speed to get a podium result here, because Pagnan seems a lot slower than basically all the drivers in the top four.
Indeed he does, and I think that's exactly Quintier, former amateur champ, would like to make the pass on Pajan and see what he has, or at least to get back on the tail of Kenshin, who begins to pull away. The clouds come over England right now as the track gets dark.
Lucky for them, no rain coming, but this will change the track temperature a little bit, cool it down. It will maybe mean that the drivers have some more grip to play with. In the meantime, there's battling going on between Björn de Vos and Robert Winninga. That's the battle for P14, and the lead in the amateur category is Robert Winninga. Oh, contact for third.
It was in the Godards and got loose. Pajan got loose right in front of Quintelier. Gianni had nowhere to go on this one. I don't know how much damage he picked up. And maybe I said he got loose. Maybe Pajan was just a little slow and got a little help. What do you think, Johan?
I think that the last thing you said was spot on. He was a little bit slow, tried to save his car, but that checkup that he had meant that Gianni only had one way to go. And Gianni went to the left, and, well, he just had to touch Marcelo Payan slightly on the rear there. Both cars can continue, though. Maybe a little bit of damage for both of them.
Yep.
But they don't lose the position, still in front of Nick Thiessen, who, well, is getting closer. They've lost connection to the top two.
Yeah, but that contact has really dropped Quintelier out of the hunt for the front two. Catching now about 2.5 seconds up and trying to close on Torres.
Just in the P2 in the amateur category, Björn de Vos losing another position, this time to Maxime de Tilly. It was a great overtaking move on the outside of Starkey's bridge. Maxime got by. But Björn de Vos, he was leading in the amateurs. He's dropping hard at the moment. He's immediately being put under pressure by Derek Holland. The gap between Björn de Vos and Robert Wieninga within less than a lap has grown to over 1 second, almost 2 seconds. Björn is really losing pace at this point of the race.
You look at that battle with DeForce in there with Holland right behind him. We talked about Holland having a great finish last night in the Advanced Monster Cup where he got a top 10. How about DeForce? He was the champion of the miles per incident crown in last season, season 16. Meanwhile, up in 5th position, we have a pass up there, and as Burrell Smith looks like he got around Thiessen.
And this happened on the exit of the chicane. I'm pretty sure that Thiessen had a slowdown going through the chicane. He cut the corner a little bit too much and immediately gives that position back to Burrell Smith, who now is in the top 5. In front of them, heavy fighting going on though. Quintelier doing everything in his power to keep Payan behind him.
Right on the system right now. Oh, this is the replay. And now we come back live to the leaders. Hey, look at that. You can just see it visually. You don't need to look at the numbers between their names. Torres has been ran down by Kanchan. That gap now about 3 car lengths.
Yeah, but more importantly, Sonny Kanchan is 100% in the draft of Torres now. So these drivers will be, well, nose to tail for the rest of the race, or at least until the pit stops will come. Nose to tail as well behind them. Payan trying a move on the outside of Quintilier going towards the chicane. Quintilier actually giving up the position. He probably thinks that he is not quick enough to keep Payan behind him. Doesn't want to lose position because that was not defensive fighting from Quintilier. It almost looked like he let the Italian just by.
Don't want to jump you around too much, but I want to go back to 19th position for 2 reasons. I want to talk about Daniel Juarez-Juan. Remember, he's a fast driver that had that spin. But right behind him is one of our hard chargers, John Miller the First, back there racing in 20th position right now. He was up 4 spots until losing 1 to Juan, but he wants that back. Just take a quick look at these guys. So many drivers to check in on. We don't want to jump you around too much, but look at this battle going on. Good racing all through the field.
Let's check in the battle for P10 that's being led by Dries Nys at the moment. We were talking about Dries a few laps ago that he was a hard charger finding his way through the field, but since his last move getting by Steven van Opstal, he cannot make any more positions up. Actually going wide through Redgate now, and it actually spins him around. Oh, he saves it, almost comes to a complete halt in the gravel there. But that goes all the positions that Dries Nys actually made up, losing 5, 6, 7, 8 positions already. Dropping back to P19 now.
Dries, just so you know, it was Johan Vanderbilt that asked for the camera to be put on you. I didn't have anything to do with that one.
I apologize for that. When you go to a replay, you can see Dries Nys already happened with just too much speed into Redgate. Car understeers off the track, and on the gravel, on the grass, you don't have the grip that you require anymore. Again, Dries Nys, as we go back to him, is off the track, this time in the old hairpin. He gets speed going again, but he is driving at P25 now.
Not surprised that a mistake happened there, because that battle that was going on with him and Berger and Fike and Wingelinga was really intense. And it still is, for a matter. If you want to look at 11th position, it's good racing going on for these guys. Also joining the mix now is Maxime de Tilly coming in there, racing back in 14th. So still a 4-car train going on. Racing everywhere.
Absolutely, in that battle between Robert Wielinga and Maxime Tilly, that is actually the battle for the lead in the amateur category. They're the 2 last cars in this battle of 5 cars. And actually going, this is a battle for a lot of fame. It's for the win in the amateur category, very close. Robert Wielinga is using, of course, the draft of the cars in front of Jordi Fike, of Nicolas Berger to keep a little bit of speed up. Try to stay in front of Maxime. Maxime is charging forward very quick already, making up 4 positions since the race started.
Yeah, very impressive debut for him. We will try not to jump you around too much, but there are so many stories to tell. Might be time for the pit window to open up. Usually it's about 1/3 of the way there. And we have our first taker. It is Wirtz. Maurice coming in.
Behind him, you could see another car. That was Dries Nice, who actually missed his pit stall. So that is actually going from bad to worse for Dries Nice. It will cost him a few more seconds after that. Not double off did he hit. In front of them, Maurice Wirtz is still sitting in the pits. But yeah, these 2 drivers are the first 2 coming in with around 1/3, a little bit more than 1/3 of the race done. This is really where the pit window will open for the drivers.
Our director has found the best battle on the track right now, and it is up front. This is the battle for 3rd, but it's not just 3rd between Pajan and Quintelier. Also in the mix, Burrell Smith, who has worked his way up from 7th, now racing in 5th, and Nick Thyssen back there. 4-car battle. Pajan about almost 5 seconds behind the front 2.
Nick Thiessen getting really close to the rear of Burrell Smith there, braking for Melbourne hairpin. I'm actually curious, is this actually a battle for P3 though, Bill? Because we saw the way Quintelier let Marcelo Pagnan by a few laps ago. Does he actually want to get a P3, or does he just want to stay in this train, don't worry too much, save a little bit of fuel, and then power by after the pit stop?
If you're new to the series, when they are so close like this, if you race back behind somebody, even though they all start with the same amount of fuel, doesn't mean they burn the same amount of fuel. And if you can't pass them on the track, you can do it by burning less fuel, maybe making a little faster pit stop. Great race going on back there. 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Pajan, Quintelier, Smith, and Thyssen.
Let's jump a few positions behind him. That's the battle with David Hampson, Christophe Sanchez, and Jean-Franc Prenois as well. That's the battle for P7, 8, and 9. These 3 drivers aren't that far away from the rear of Nick Thiessen in the peloton before them as well. Only a few seconds between them, and the lap times between the 2 groups is basically the same. If Marcelo Pagnan holds them up a little bit more, I wouldn't be surprised that that 4-car train will become a 7-car train very soon.
Absolutely. Look at that. David Hampson. He's a quick driver. He finished 5th in the points in season 16. Good to have him back. Sanchez is new, but then we saw Pignot. He was really quick back there in 9th. So these guys are good. Let's give you that interval between 6th and 7th right now, 2.3 seconds.
Oh, sorry, I see something happen with Maxime de Tilly. He actually tried an overtake on Robert Wielinga going into Koppes last time around. Contact between the 2. Maxime Tilly lost a lot of time. Jordi Fike got by him. That basically splits up the battle between Robert Wielinga and Maxime de Tilly.
Yeah, Wielinga was taking a really defensive line into the corner, so he didn't have a lot of corner speed. And then he got, I think it surprised the drivers behind him. Look up ahead here. As we're looking at the driver who does the punt, look at the line from the car up in front. Almost like he was serving a slowdown penalty.
It was literally what I was about to say. I think that Robert Wielinga was serving a slowdown penalty because also over Starkey Straight he was very slow. Again, contact. He got nudged out of the way through the chicane there. Got passed by a lot of cars. He's actually, I think, P6 in the amateur category now with Maxime de Tilly, the new leader. But Maxime is being charged down by Björn de Vos, Derek Holland, Stef Veenhoff. 4 cars virtually under, well, 3 cars at least virtually under blanket for the lead in M category.
Just a rule of thumb, if you're serving a slowdown penalty, you don't want to find yourself at the apex of a corner with somebody behind you.
Absolutely.
Look at this. This is fun to watch.
It's like a swarm of angry bees storming down the hill here. Donington going left, right, taking every opportunity they have to take a look if they can overtake. Now, of course, that contact with Maxime de Tilly might have caused some aero damage or something that slowed the car down a few kilometers an hour going over the straight, because Björn de Vos is looking very feisty. Björn wasn't as quick as he currently seems to be, Bill, a few laps ago when he was falling down the order quite quickly. But he seems a lot quicker than Maxime de Tilly. Once again, going through Koppes here. Nose to tail, less than a car length between him. Björn de Vos taking a wider line. Taking some more momentum with him. And now completely in the draft going towards the chicane. Setting themselves up for moves going into the hairpins.
We talked about how perfectly they divide the amateurs and the pros. This is 4 amateurs going at it right here, and this is for the lead. Tilly, De Vos, Holland, and Wienhoff, all amateurs, and the front 4 at that.
Horrible run through the chicane for Björn de Vos. They're immediately under pressure from Derek Holland, who tries a move around the outside of the Melbourne hairpin, but that doesn't work if you stay there. Stefanov maybe can take a little look. Now everything just shakes itself out as it was. Single file once again as to go towards Cotter.
We don't need to go there. I'll just tell you that remember that battle for the lead closed up? Well, I think Torres said, uh-oh, here comes Sunday. He's opened it up now to 1.5 seconds. Might have just been minding the gap. You can see the interval. It was much closer earlier on, and I don't think it was because of a mistake from Ketch, and I think Torres just turned the wick up a bit.
Robert Wielinga is in the pits. He's changing the left side tires of his car, and you can see the rear of that car actually suffers quite a bit of damage there. That's quite bunched up the rear of his car. Another car coming into the pits. That's Joe McDonald, one of the drivers, driving a little bit further down the field in the M category. Robert Wielinga gets going again. It's curious to see where Robert Wielinga will come out after all the pit stops are done, Bill, because he was P6 coming into the pit stop, but by making this early pit stop, especially with the pace that he had earlier in the race, he might gain a few positions on his rivals.
So many stories to tell. I want to go to 7th real quick. This is Sanchez under attack from Pignot. Now remember, ahead of these guys was David Hampson. Well, David picked up a slowdown penalty, and not only did he have to let these guys by, but now he's losing touch with them as well. So move Sanchez up to 7th. He's about 3 seconds behind Thyssen. This is that second group that we were thinking might be able to run the next group down.
And maybe David Hampson just wanted to fall back a little bit, also save a little bit of fuel. He was leading that pack for quite a while. And of course, if you're leading that pack, you burn quite a bit more fuel, and that might set you back even more after the pit stops. One of the top guys is coming in for his pit stop. That's Nick Thiessen. He's currently rolling down towards his crew.
That was a good call on Hampson. You know, I read it like a slowdown penalty, but you might have called it. It might have just been a surrender. Just go back there and save. Okay, the first real big name is in, Thyssen.
Just a quick update, we have 2 retirees so far this race. Frans Janssen retired early on. Dries Nice also just throwing the towel into the ring. He's our second retiree of today.
Mark it down on your clipboards, boys and girls in Soup's little clipboard army. Thyssen was at the tail end of that 4-car train, racing for 3rd. He was in 7th. Let's see how it plays out when the pit stops are done. The problem with pitting early is you come out in traffic, and we can go to Thyssen right now. He's in 16th behind John Miller.
Ooh, there's a car off in the infield with Derek Holland there. Off at Starkey's Bridge. Long trip through the grass for Derek Holland there. Basically started all the way in old hairpin for him, where he went a little bit too wide, got a bunch of oversteer. We go to a replay of it now, just watching on the outside of the old hairpin. He just goes a little bit too wide, loses control of the car, and basically turns into a lawnmower.
This was an odyssey that he had. He lost it on the left side, then he loses it on the right side, then he gets it back. And he's down the track once again. We're working lap number 13.
Sonny Kenshin is in the pits.
He is notorious for being able to calculate fuel. They go up on the left side. If you're new to this series, you can take 2 tires and it won't cost you any time. If you take 4, it'll take you too long to change the tires while the fuel fills. You'll have to wait. But he gets it done, does not cost him any time. He comes out. I'd like to see how he fares in relationship to Thyssen. And he's going to come out just about a half straightaway in front. That's just about the gap it was before.
Yeah, comfortably in front of him. But more importantly, Sonny Kenshin was losing quite a bit of pace, quite a bit of track position to Dalmeres Torres. When he came in, the gap between the two was around 2.5 to 3 seconds. So let's see who actually has the quicker pace now in the race. If it is Torres or if Sonny Kenshin in completely clean air can suddenly find a little bit of extra momentum, a little bit of extra speed to close down the gap. One thing that might be a big factor.
Another good thing for Kenshin is when he came out on track, he got out just in front of Steph Dienhoff in 12th position and Derek Holland in 13th. So Kenshin with clear track ahead of him. I've seen it a million times when a newcomer comes in here. What can Torres do when it's pit stop time? You got to figure with a man with an I rating as high as his that he knows how to make a pit stop. He knows how to calculate fuel, but you never know. They don't do pit stops in the advanced Mazda Cup. And if memory serves me right, they don't do pit stops in the Rookie Series as well. Here comes Quintilier.
Quintilier diving away from the battle with Marcelo Pagnang. He comes to a halt with his pit crew now looking at the people that already made a pit stop. He actually might be quite close with where Nick Thiessen is on the track. Nick Thiessen is coming around the last corner now, sliding a little bit through there, the Dutch driver. He's putting the throttle back on as Derek Holland and David Hampson also come to a halt with their pit crews. Gianni Cantellier actually gets on the throttle again, and he is in front of Nick Thiessen by quite a margin, several seconds between the two.
Remember when Thiessen came in, I commented that you should mark it down on your clipboards. He was at the back of the train, and Quintilier is out in front of him easily.
Derek Holland is making his pit stop. He's coming out now. Björn de Vries also coming in. I thought that Björn de Vries already made his pit stop, but apparently not. That means that the lead in the amateur category stays in the hands of Derek Holland, or will go to Daniel Juan, who steams by very, very close between it. It is Daniel who gets the lead now. Momentarily, though, I think, because he has to make a pit stop still. Robert Winiga side by side with Derek Holland, and that is for the lead, however, because both these drivers have made a pit stop still for side by side as they're going down the Kleine curves towards the old hairpin.
My goodness, look at this racing going on right here. That is for your AM leaders. Juan ahead of Alinga, Holland right behind him. Am I correct that they have all made their stops, or do they need to? Yes, they've all made their stops, right? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I thought that Daniel already made his, or didn't make his pit stop yet, but apparently he already made his pit stop. So this is the top three in amateur category, basically under a blanket. They can stay together like this, fight it out until the race is over.
Okay, another one of the drivers that was up there in that front train, Burrell Smith, comes in. We want to pick up Quintilier. Quintilier's going by. He's going to crush him. Quintilier goes by. Smith is rolling. Let's see if Thiessen gets him. Thiessen is going to get him as well, and there comes Burrell Smith out.
And that whole... Smith was very long in his pit stall, but I'm amazed to see, Bill, that all those drivers that we saw so bunched up together early in the race are stretched out completely now. No one is in the draft of each other. Basically, they're all driving in no man's land.
That's right. As you look at Smith, remember David Hampson? We talked about him surrendering those two spots. Well, he's found his way back up into 10th. Still waiting on a few drivers to come in. Nicholas Berger, Jean-Franc Pignot needs to come in. Pino will come in, and then also Christophe Sanchez.
Just a quick update on the lead battle for the amateur category. I said that Daniel Juan would be the leader after the pit stops completed. I was wrong, because it's Stef Veenhoff, the Dutch driver in front of them, who had a great pit stop and a great first stint. Playing the long game now, he's driving around a P13, several seconds in front of Daniel, Derek Holland and Robert Winiga. And if he can actually pick up the pace and stay in front of Daniel, he doesn't have to fear from anyone. He's quite a long way away from the rest.
That will be fun to watch. 13th is the position of our top amateur. All right, our leader is in. This is the first time we've got to see him make a pit stop. He is in, he is out. Pajan is also in.
But Sonny Kenshin gets him. Sonny Kenshin just got by him.
There you go. We've seen it once. We've seen it 1,000 times.
But the interesting thing, though, is, Bill, that the gap between these two drivers is barely there. It's less than a second, and Damaris Torres has been quicker all race long. So on speed alone, and also in the draft that he currently is in, Sonny Kenshin immediately jumps into the grass there, the old hairpin. That will not help his traction coming out of that corner. I wouldn't be surprised if Jaime within a few laps will be on the tail of Sonny Kenshin.
Unfortunately, my timing and scoring is not showing me pit stop times for Torres. Oh, yes, it is. Let me look at it. I found it now. Yeah, they were close. 14.7 for Kenshin, 15 for Torres. Cone to cone, Kenshin about a second faster.
Great battle going on for P5 if the pit stops shake, or P4 if the pit stop shakes out, between Nick Thiessen, Burrell Smith, and Marcelo Pagnan. All these drivers nose to tail. Now, of course, Christoph Sanchez still has to make his pit stop, but he'll probably end up behind these drivers. So this will be then the battle for P4, led by Nick Thiessen. He's in front of Burrell Smith and Marcelo Pagnan behind him. Marcelo really falling down the order after a good qualifying position, good start of the race.
Yeah, those are the guys who are all together. The guy who's missing out of that is Gianni Quintilier. He was in that 4-car battle. You can see him, there he was at the top of your screen there, racing all by himself in 4th position. These are all one spot farther down than they should be, because our leader, Christoph Sanchez, still needs to pit, and he's in right now.
This will be great for the confidence of Gianni Quintilier. Like I said, after the qualifying, he was saying in chat that I don't know if my qualifying was as good as probably a lucky lap. Well, he's showing that it wasn't a lucky lap, and he actually has genuine race pace as well, because he's far away from the rest, looking very hot for a podium position.
4 tires were taken there by that. Who was that car director that we said?
Sanchez.
Sanchez took 4, yeah.
Yeah, that's a rookie mistake, I would almost say. Like, maybe not so used to pit stops in the MX-5, knowing that taking 2 tires is probably a better solution. He falls down the order quite a bit, driving behind Jean-Francois Prenona, just inside the top 10, only 10 position for Christoph. He falls down several positions with his pit stop.
Okay, it would not be an MX-5 World Tour broadcast unless Soup didn't question this pit strategy of somebody. Gianni Quintilier in 3rd position. Look for him to make another pit stop. I think he short-filled. His pit stop time was really short. With that said, Johan, for the first time this season, let's go to our Trips back marker shout out. Yeah,
let's start with Björn de Vos. We can see him here on track, the number 66. He actually started in P8 but fell down the grid quite a bit. Currently driving in 23rd, isn't gonna stop, trying to chase down Michael Wardman. Michael Wardman is the driver in P20. Currently around 20 seconds behind famous driver Jeroen Oersen. The Dutch driver is in a good battle with John Miller the first. Only a second between these two drivers, less than a second between these two drivers. John Miller the first is in P18. Maxime de Tilly, we mentioned that driver several times already in the race when he was fighting for a podium position in the amateur category. Maxime is currently driving in P17, started the race in P18. He's just behind, and I have to say, because there's a battle going on in front of it, Derek Holland. Derek Holland is the driver in P16. That position was a few moments ago in the hands of Robert Winiga, so heavy battle going on between those two drivers. Robert Winiga and Derek Holland are driving behind Daniel Jerez Juan, who's currently driving in P14. And let's stop this trip's backmarker shout out with Stef Veenhoff. Stef Veenhoff gaining 7 positions so far in the race. He's the leader in the amateurs and currently driving P13 overall. Very strong showing here from the Dutch driver.
Nice job, Johan. That takes care of all the business. Let's focus our attention up front. Sonny Kenshin. Now, Johan, earlier on, we thought that maybe Torres had the pace to drive away. He's getting on the back of Kenshin right now.
Torres had the pace to drive away. It was around 2.5-3 seconds when he made the pit stop, Sonny Kenshin. And I think that the fact that Sonny Kenshin is in front is just that excellent fuel calculation that Sonny Kenshin can do, but also the fact that he could save maybe a little bit more fuel than Torres could do in his first stint. As it stands, however, you can see it on screen. The gap between the two drivers is less than 4 seconds. Torres taking a little look there on the inside of Goddard's. No more than just a little look there. Not enough room to put it actually side by side. Just he's letting Sonny know that he is there and he wants a P1 position back.
Let's get all the traditions out of the way here on round number 1. My dad used to say, passing is like milking a rooster. The hard part starts after you catch it. That's what Torres is doing right now. He's caught catching, but can he do something with him? That's the question.
Well, he's putting the bucket under it at the moment, because look at the gap between those two. Less than half a car length between them. As they go to the old hairpin, Torres has to brake a little bit early. He has more speed, of course. As Sonny Kenshin, this is something we've seen him do several times already. Just go very wide through the old hairpin, getting an off track there. Trying to keep a little bit more momentum, but this hurts him all the way up here towards McLean's. Now they have to brake again, so it all equalizes. That mistake doesn't count anymore, but still, Torres is haunting all over the back of Sonny Kenshin. Now you need a good run out of here, out of Coppice. Both tires of both cars screaming bloody murder here as they're coming out of Coppice. Very close, 2 car lengths between the two as they're coming towards the S's. Take a little look on the inside, but this is not the place where you want to make an overtake yet. You want to be right on it still as you swing by there. Sonny Kenshin way tighter on the apex there. Better line for Kenshin this time. And you can see that on track immediately. 1-2 car lengths is immediately won by Sonny Kenshin, and that neutralizes the threat that Torres had going into Melbourne hairpin.
With apologies to the rest of the field, let's let you enjoy a little racing from some top-tier drivers. Let's stay on this battle from Kenshin and Torres a little bit longer as they work down into Goddard's. Torres clearly faster. He's able to run him down. He's just trying to look for a way around. Now, Redgate's a possibility if you can get a good run out of Goddard's. I don't think he has the momentum to get it done here, but turn 1, you can get it done.
I don't know, because it's a heavy braking zone. You can just swing it by the inside. We've seen it before, but Torres was, it was maybe a little bit too far though. It's so difficult in a track like Donington, Bill, because you know that you're quicker, especially as the Masters Torres. You know that you're quicker, but overtaking is so difficult, and you can see that you're closing quicker and quicker in a section like this. And
right.
to resist the urge to throw it on the inside of the old hairpin is so difficult. You actually managed to. You have to wait for a good opportunity coming out of Coppice.
Here we go.
Actually, a great run there through Starkey's bridge. Side by side, you will have the outside now through McLean's. That's very difficult. Sonny Kenshin also braking a little bit later. Can he keep it side by side? He cannot keep it side by side.
2 car lengths back. I don't think he's going to be close enough. Let's see if he gets a tow. Try to force the issue into Roberts. That'll be the left-hander that's coming up. No, not going to happen.
Silver lining for Torres might be that this time around is a little bit further, so the apexes of the chicane are easier to spot than it was last time. However, this time once again Torres cannot close down the gap to Sonny Kenshin. He has to stay behind once again as they reach Melbourne hairpin. Very close though. I don't think you can put a cigarette paper between those 2 cars. Sonny Kenshin stays in front. No contact between these 2 drivers. Torres kind of has to take a different racing line through Goddard's now to give himself a nice swing of momentum as they come up the start-finish straight, going towards Redgate. You can see Sonny Kenshin over the curbs and they are half a wheel on the grass. That will not help his traction. Damaris Torres is completely in his draft now, closer than he was last lap. Taking a look on the inside, under braking, but once again just too far to actually put it side by side.
Let me steal you away for just a minute, boy. I don't want to miss the pass. That's why our director knows where to go. This is just too good not to look at. This is Smith on the inside. This one on the outside as they work down into Redgate. We talked about going too wide through here. They're going to make contact, a little bit of a bump. Now we go back to the lead.
A little bit of contact there, almost some NASCAR-like bump drafting between the two as they were going down the crane curves towards the old hairpin. Again contact, little nudge there from Sonny Kenshin. Not giving any room to the Masters Torres there on the outside of Starkey's bridge. Torres with great control to not lose his car there and actually immediately pop back onto the racing line and continue chasing down the Australian.
We cannot not be on those guys when they go through the technical section because Torres is so quick. Boy, he gets a good run out of Coppice this time. But again, I don't know if he wants to force the issue. He's about a car length back. Last time he didn't do it. I don't think he's going to do it this time either. I think he knows where he's quick, and I think it's through that technical section. I think he'll just wait, take another shot at it there.
You kind of have to, but it's so difficult in the technical section. You kind of need to set yourself up through the technical section so you can try and overtake here. He tries it around the outside. This is something that Torres hasn't tried yet, around the outside of Melbourne hairpin. Didn't stick though. We go a little bit further back though. The battle between Nick Thies and Marcelo Pagna, Burrell Smith is also heating up. You can see Marcelo Pagna trying a move there on the inside of Thiessen.
Jean gets it done. Thiessen is going to tuck back in what would be 6th position, but he's fighting back. We got to stay on it. I'll keep an eye on the leaders, make sure we're not missing anything there. We're okay. We can stay here on this one for now.
Thiessen on the inside. Marcelo Pagnan has to take the outside line. They stay there. It is Beryl Smith looking left, looking right. He doesn't know which of these two cars to follow. As they're going down over the start-finish straight towards Redgate, this is now Marcelo Pagnan with the preferred line. They're banging doors going over the start-finish lane. Start-finish straight, but it's Marcelo Pagnan who gets that position. Beryl Smith is eating popcorn and profiting from that because he immediately swings by Nick Thiessen. He has a lot of momentum. Can he get by Marcelo Pagnan as well as Nick Thiessen now enjoys the draft and gets
Let's go to the lead. There's the pass for the lead. He did it so quick through the technical section, but it's not done yet. They're side by side. The yellow car of Taurus, the Asbury Motorsports car of Katchen as they go into Compass. Taurus on the outside will go off on the grass. He gets a good run with the momentum. And he's going to get it done, I think. Can he finish the job? He does. Katchen falls back into second. Now watch Taurus see if he can race away.
Great move from Torres there. Beautiful move on the outside of that couple of corners. I wanted to say you have to stay on the outside there and then hope that you're still side by side as you go to the chicane. But he didn't even need the chicane. He could already make it work on the outside of Coppins. Great driving from Torres there. But he has to fend off a charging Sonny Kenshin now who wants the P1 position back.
Yeah, Katchen is not going to give up the ghost here. He's going to hang on the back. I can report that Kinchele still races in third. Jean has pulled away from that battle. Thiessen and Smith and Hampson now. David Hampson has caught up to the back as we continue to look at the leaders. Coming across the line right now. They are working with, well, we have 2 to go, 3 to go.
2 to go, it seems like. Yeah, 2 to go, it seems like, with Sonny Kenshin still behind Torres as they're going through the red gate. Now let's see if Sonny Kenshin can actually have the same drive out of this corner as Torres had time and time again, because every time they reached the old hairpin, it was Torres trying an overtake or looking that he would try an overtake on Sonny Kenshin as they swing through the crane curves. Now Sonny Kenshin is using all the draft that he can get, taking a little look on the inside. Late defensive move from Torres there. He fends off that very surprising route that Sonny Kenshin had in the infield section.
Torres doing a great job of keeping the car going straight as fast as he can. Kenshin looking for any way around as they work out of Compass now. Down Starkey straight. The next corner will be the left-hander, which will be Roberts. I think Kenshin is too far back to force the issue there, but if he can good run out of the chicane, maybe take a chance down into the Melbourne hairpin. Boy, he closes in really tight. Gets him wound up under braking. He's a car length back as they go to the right-hand hairpin. That is Melbourne. Too far back to make a move here.
But he takes a little look at the inside. He crashes into him. Sonny Kenshin bumps around Torres there. Incredibly late.
Says sorry. Let's see if he can put his money where his mouth is as he continues to lead. There it is. Sonny looked like he's leaving the apex open. I think he's going to give this spot back.
I don't know, because Torres is still behind him though. It doesn't look like Sonny Kenshin is...
Oh, Soup was right! Mark it down, there's a solar eclipse. Quintelier had to make that second stop.
Oh, and that gives P3 to Marcelo Pagnan, who's passing Quintilier at the moment. But let's look at the lead battle going on, because Sonny Kenshin will actually give the position back to Damaris Torres. They're still in the order they were coming over start-finish late, with Sonny Kenshin around half a second in front of Torres.
Yeah, if Sonny was going to give it back, he would have already given it back so that he could take it back later. Oh, Sonny is loose right now. I don't think there's going to be any given going on, because here comes Torres.
No, but I think it's
the spot back. I will take it back.
Exactly. I think that after that move of Sonny Kenshin, Torres will take that position back. If he doesn't get it back, he comes out through McLean's, going through Coppers now. You need a good run here, going through the chicanes, slightly different racing lines. Torres slightly more on the outside, not following Sonny Kenshin as we speak. He has to hop back in, hope for the draft and close in towards the chicane now.
If you're an Australian part store, you better order up a tail light for an MX-5, because I think Torres is coming here through the chicane. He does not get into the back of Kenshin. Here they come to Melbourne. Kenshin really good under braking. He takes the line right down the middle. If you're going to pass me, you're going to have to do it on the top side. Torres dives it in. He's looking for some momentum. He's going to get a good drive off. It's going to be an over-under move. No. Catch it defending the line. There's going to be one corner to go. It's the left-hander. Look at Torres move the car to the outside so he gets a good run. He's going to do it on the outside. We're going to have a drive race to the finish line. It's catching. It's Torres. It's catching. It's Torres. And it's going to be Torres. As they make contact.
Beautiful victory from Torres there. Well deserved to try that move around the outside. He makes a stick behind him. Marcelo Pagnan just comes out in front of Brul Smith. Nick Thiessen is the final driver in the top 5. Let's go to the lead in the M category with Stef Veenhoff. He's following a bunch of pro drivers. It's Sanchez, it's Benoit, it's Van Opstal, but then it's Stef Veenhoff. He will come across the last corner now, and he will be the victor in the amateur category with Daniel Guesquan and Derek Holland on the podium there as well.
Great run from the Ams. Wish we could have covered it more, but the excitement up front was just too much to get our eyes off of. Let's look at this winning drive from Torres. He has to do it on the outside. He gets the momentum, and then it's a race to the finish line, Johan.
I mean, it's just beautiful how he did. This is racing craft to the extreme. Beautifully thought out. He knew that if he would take this racing line around the outside, he would have more momentum, and that the run down towards the start-finish line, that would be just enough to beat Sonny Kenshin. Sonny Kenshin actually tried to push him off the track there to kill the momentum a little bit. Well, luckily for Damascus Torres, it wasn't enough for Sonny Kenshin. Damascus Torres comes home with a victory margin of 28 thousandths of a second. Well done for him.
What a way to open season 17. The racing is over here at Donington, but our broadcast is far from done. We're going to step away, but don't go far, because we'll come back for the Hoisingveld post-race show, where we'll run down the entire finishing order, talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate. You're watching GSRC. Stay close. Welcome back to GSRC and the Huizenveld post-race show for the MX-5 World Tour. It's round 1 from Donington. The results are in. Let's give them to you right now. Well, it wasn't wire to wire as he lost it in the pit stop window a little bit, and then Sonny Kenshin was able to elbow his way around Damasi Torres as well. But in the end, Torres gets the drive out of Guttards and wins a drag race. He picks up his first win in his first attempt. Congratulations to Torres, who got that win. Sonny Kenshin, well, he had to settle for second. Marcelo Pajan fell down, but worked his way back up into third. Anwar Burrell Smith gets fourth, rounding out your top 5. Nick, this is great racing going on there. David Hampson fell back some too, worked his way back up to 6. Gianni Quintilier, because of a second pit stop short filling, he has to settle for 7th. Rounding out your top 10, Christoph Sanchez, John Franchino, and Steven Van Oxtrol. Johan?
P11, we can find a driver that's all really bad at qualifying here, or really good in the race. It's Stef Veenhoff winning the amateur category after gaining 9 positions in the race. Really impressive result from Stef there. He actually finished in front of several pro drivers, including Jordi Fike, who comes home in P12. Daniel Jerez-Juan comes home P2 in the M category in front of P3 in that category, Derek Holland. Robert Wielinga was leading there for quite a while, but he misses just the boat in the end. Comes home P15 overall. Maxime de Tilly classified in P16 in front of Nicolas Berger in P17. John Miller the first, he also gained several positions in the race, 5 to be exact. He comes home in P18, just in front of Jeroen Oersum and Michael Wardman, rounding out the top 20.
We'll go down to Bjorn de Vos, who prides himself on being clean, but he picked up a whopping 22 incidents for this race, so he's got his work to do to pick up another miles per incident championship. Joe McDonald, he comes home in the double duck spot. Maurice Wirtz in 23rd. 15 laps down, Dries Nice, boy, he had trouble, then he found more trouble. He has to settle for 24th. There are no show compensations, Dries, so this one's going to count. Franz Janssen, 25th. And last of all the cars that took the grid. Okay, it is time for an interview, and I believe we have our AM. You know what, Johan? I'm going to let you talk over here because you guys, your accents are closer together. Let's let you talk to our AM champion today.
Sounds good. Stef Veenhoff, welcome to the beat. Stef, congratulations with your win there in the M category. Now, I just mentioned it when we were talking about the results. Was it just a slightly poor qualifying and you recovered that in the race, or were you just incredible racer with amazing race pace out there?
It was definitely some poor qualifying. I never raced here before, and I only had the 40-50 minute practice before the session, so it was quite tough to get some pace. But in the race, it ended up okay, so definitely happy with that. So
tell us a little bit about how you actually got that P1 result, because at the first stint, you were behind several of your competitors. You were behind Robert Wielinga, you were behind Björn de Vos, but after the pit stops, you beat them all. Was it just a very quick pit stop time that brought it, or was it something else?
I think so. I actually overfueled for 1 lap, so I don't know how I got such a quick pit stop. But my pit stall was all the way at the beginning of the pit lane, so I think I won some seconds there. But I don't know.
Well, very good strategy in the end to give you the win out there. Of course, last season we had Kip Stevens winning the championship. Jordi Fike also having a good run in the amateur category, getting promoted to the pro category. Is that your goal for this season, to also make sure that you finish in such a way that you get promoted to the top level?
Yeah, I definitely should have some more less dropped races actually. So I'm definitely going for the championship now. Yeah. Very good. Well, you come out here at the last part of the race. You were fighting with several of the pro drivers. You had Christophe Sanchez in front of you, Jean-François Venois, Stefan van Opstal. What was actually going through your mind at that point? Were you looking at the gap that you had towards Daniel Jerez-Juan and basically thinking like, I don't have to battle, I'm good where I am? Or were you trying to mix it up, get as many overall positions as you could get?
I was looking at the lap times we were doing, and they were about a second quicker than my solo lap time, so I just hung back there, and it was okay for me.
Well, it sure was okay. You come home with the win. Stef Veenhoff, congratulations with getting the first win of the season here at Donington.
Thank you. Thanks for the commentary.
It was Stef Veenhoff winning the amateur category here in Donington. P11 overall. Now, Soup, has someone else joined us in the booth in the meantime, or was Stefan?
Nope, I think we're all done. I'm going to put the invitation out to Jeremy Torres if he's worried about his English. I studied Spanish in high school, so come on in and I can do the translation for you. It's, ¿Dónde está Lili? Lili en la cocina? No, Lili en la biblioteca. I can help you out, so come on in. We'll talk to you next week. Don't be scared. With that said, we're going to wrap it up here on the Global Sim Racing channel, but before we do, we got some people we have to thank. Let's go ahead and start by thanking everybody at the Quality Racing Sim-dicate for organizing this series and contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. On screen now are just some of the equipment and software used to stream cyberspace into your place. Let's go ahead and thank our sponsors as well, Hoisingfeld and Sim Sports News, for sponsoring both the amateur and pro standings, as well as the pre-race show and post-race show. The original music that lets your ears alert your eyes. You're watching the GSRC Productions comes courtesy of Eric Eckelman and Jude Lalonde. See the screen to how to contact each of them. Hey, you want more of this? The MX-5 Tour returns next week. That's for round 2, and it's going to be from Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. GSRC via IESN. I think we're going to be on the IESN next week. We'll be there to bring you all the action. We hope you join us. Sliding across your screen right now are just some of the upcoming broadcasts here on GSRC, so mark those down and check them out. If you'd like more information about GSRC, go to globalsimracingchannel.com or check us out on social media. 3 options: Twitter, GSR Channel, Facebook, Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. If you haven't done so yet, become a YouTube subscriber by heading over to our YouTube page and hitting that big red button. Finally, on behalf of the crew, Johan, Joe, and Dougie, like to thank all of you for watching as we watch Jeremy Torres make his debut by picking up a win here at Donington. Congratulations to him. With that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.